Hi there, friends. I am so glad you are watching today. We are going to have a great conversation with a man named Dave COULIER, whose face you will probably remember from the beloved television show called Full House. Well, Dave is now in a new series on PureFlix called Live and Local. My name is Jean Thomason, and this is Momentum Influencers Network. So welcome again, and here we are, and Dave is with us. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Jean.
We are thank you. We are so excited that you were able to take time to talk with us today. If all of our bloggers watching today from Momentum Influencers Network, if they do not know your face, that means they are from a foreign country or they lived under a rock and do not know your Uncle Joey, and which was beloved in our culture. And so, first of all, just thank you for all that time and all those years, and the fun, family-friendly comedy that was just great for families in America, and that was really fun. So I'm sure that you drew on the many, many years of all that work, and stepping into this brand new show called Live and Local on PureFlix. We actually have talked to Dan Merchant, your producer and director. What's it like working with Dan?
Well, when Dan first came to me, he's awesome, first of all. And hi, all the bloggers out there. Dan is awesome. He came to me with the idea of the show and had already kind of written the first script. And I read it and I said, this sounds very improvisational. And he said, that's why I want you to play this role. And then I said, this character seems kind of like a curmudgeon. And he said, yes. And I said, well, that's a little bit of a stretch for me. I kind of like that. And I like the idea that there's going to be a very improvisational feel throughout the show, which is what we ended up with. And my castmates, Emily Pendergast, Pat Cashman, Kendra Sherrill, they were very improvisational, because at the beginning of the scene, I'd say, hey, I'm just going to roll here. Just roll with me on this. We'll get there. But just kind of stay with me. And they were wonderful. And so the whole show has that kind of on-the-fly live feel of a radio program that you might listen to in the morning.
I thought it was so fun. I noticed in the trailer that you mentioned that, or your character says about himself, that he's a dinosaur. I happen to also feel that way about myself sometimes. And my husband and I were talking as we were watching this together that it reminded us a little of WKRP. Did I play into it, that old show?
Well, I've promoted Full House and Fuller House and America's Funniest People and all these different shows over the years, and I've had to do so many radio programs. So on a few of those programs along the way, there were some real curmudgeons. And so there were plenty of characters that I could pull some traits from, and Tommy Murphy, the character that I play, is certainly kind of a conglomerate of a lot of those characters that I met along the way.
How close then, because you said being a curmudgeon, that's probably not how you are in real life. How close is Tommy to who Dave really, really is, would you say?
I have my curmudgeon-y moments, for sure. I think we all do. But, I was able to bring a lot of myself to this character, because I am very vulnerable at times. And, so this character finds his vulnerability because his contract is up in a few weeks. He's been number one in a very, very small faith-based market on this tiny little radio station. And he thinks of himself as kind of Coca-Cola. If it's, you don't want Coke Zero, it's Coca-Cola. So he thinks if it's not broke, don't try to fix it. So we kind of see that vulnerability of this guy for the first time, and we explore that throughout the rest of the series, and the show gets funnier and funnier as we move along.
How much fun was it for you to get to interview real people? I love that about this show, that you actually that it says real guest, fake show. So tell us about how that works to bring in the real into the fake.
We brought in people, comedians, rock and rollers, music people. I mean, it was wonderful to meet guys like John Cooper, who tours with Metallica, and I kept thinking, how is a faith-based guy touring with Metallica? But he really walks the walk. He's very faith-based in his life, but he's a hardcore rock and roller. And so his wife is in the band, and she's the real deal. I mean, she is also a hardcore rocker, and I mean, she can jam. She's great. And they bring their family on the road with them, and they're very spiritual. And I just thought, wow, this is something that I never really conceived in my mind, of these two worlds kind of colliding, but they do it with such flair and classiness. It was wonderful to interview those kinds of people on this show. I learned a lot.
I think it has been so good to see what PureFlix is doing, because they're offering just what you're talking about, family friendly, which you know a lot about from Full House, but family friendly, but then also faith based, and something that you don't have to censor, that you can bring your children in to watch. So how was that an easy place for you to step into? Because I know doing comedy, sometimes it's a challenge, like one of your guests said, who was Jeff. What was his last name? Allen, Jeff Allen.
Jeff
He talked
Allen,
about
yeah.
what is it like to make clean comedy. So how do you feel about doing that faith-based, clean comedy kind of a program?
In the beginning, I thought, is the faith based element going to slow the comedy down? And it turned out not to at all. It really didn't get in the way. It really didn't slow us down. It's just an element that we have on the show. So you'll hear funny commercials about the Saints, and, just things that, were silly. And so I wanted to make sure that, I was an executive producer on the show as well. I wanted to make sure that the faith-based element enhanced the show and didn't affect the comedy at all. And being a veteran of television sitcoms like Full House and Fuller House, I really been immersed in that world of family entertainment. So my sensibilities are very Full House, where your entire family can sit down and watch the show. And that's really all I was trying to do, is like, okay, this joke's got to work for everybody. And I think we achieved that.
I love that you were super comfortable in the radio station. Is that something that you've done in your past, or did you have to do a
Gene,
lot of work to?
oh, Gene, oh, Gene.
You did great.
Well, thank you. They built us a fully functioning radio station, a studio, and I'd never really worked aboard live like that, because the show has to have some very live elements. I mean, we tried to be on time with the clock. We had certain moments that it could only be a couple of minutes long, and we had to be, out of that segment by then. So I had to work the board, and technically that was a huge challenge for me, because it's live and we're shooting this on the fly, and we've got 6 cameras in that studio with us. And so I had to really kind of be the conductor of the symphony, so to speak, with moving all these buttons and launching a commercial and hot mics. And it was a real technical challenge for me. So my hat is off to people who do that for a living, because there's a real skill doing that. And it's a skill that I'm maybe 50% there with right now. So hopefully don't judge me too much by my lack of, slider skills.
Well, congratulations, and thank you again for participating with Dan Merchant and his vision and idea. We're so happy you're on PureFlix. Thank you for being our guest today. And I just have one last question to ask you, and that is this question, of course. What is it that brings you joy?
Oh, you got me. You brought it
You
full
knew that
circle.
was coming.
That's a really simple answer for me. People. People bring me the greatest joy in my life, and I've been so lucky to have so many amazing people in my life. So many wonderful memories, so much laughter. I just seek out laughter with friends and family and people, and really that's my simple operating system. It's just, you know what, you have to laugh your way through life.
Good. Thank you. That's a gift. Dave, we're so glad we got to meet you. God bless you and all the things that you're doing. And thank you for being a guest with us at Momentum Influencers Network. Bye.
Thank you.